Maybe it's because it starts on Boxing Day, or perhaps that it has a reputation for being brutal, or even because it's one of the oldest offshore races in the world. The chances are that it's all of them. Because whatever it is, every year the Rolex Sydney Hobart Race attracts global attention. And the 80th edition of the race was no different. As the race got underway, 129 boats crossed the start line for their 628-mile Christmas quest to Hobart.
You could go all over the world, and anybody that knows anything about ocean racing just sees the Rolex Sydney Hobart as being the race they want to do if they haven't already done it.
The Rolex Sydney Hobart is one of three, I think, events in Australia that's iconic. Ever since I was a 5-year-old kid, I'd watched the start of the Sydney Hobart, watched the Melbourne Cup and the Bathurst car race. And for me, just to be part of any of those has always been a dream because they've just been so interesting.
The start was classic as the annual Sydney Harbour spectacle got underway. Law Connect was looking to defend last year's win as they held off Masterlock, Comanche and Lucky on the sprint through Sydney Harbour. But while the supermaxis were always bound to steal the show, the racing in the fleet behind was as intense as ever. But for one team, the race was over before it had started. Yendes broke her backstay shortly before the start and was forced to retire. Others, like SHK Scallywag, were playing it safe, performing a 720-degree penalty turn in case they were faced with a protest later on. Strong southerlies and big seas were forecast for the opening stages of the race, and once they headed out into open ocean, that's what they got.
It's shaping up to be, one of the tough ones, and that's how we know the Sydney to Hobart. You know, there's always something in there that the weather throws in there that's going to make it hard for us. So all the crews are going to have to be very resilient.
As the fleet beat down the Australian coast, it was Masterlock Comanche that led the charge, but only just. Law Connect was nipping at her heels the whole way. Scallywag was next in line, and with the 88-footer Lucky lying in 4th place on the water. The fetch across the Bass Strait did nothing to change the pecking order. But the run down the Tasmanian coastline saw the race tighten up, with the 3 supermaxis and Lucky close the gap on Comanche. But by the finish, and despite having occasionally lost out to the competition, the big red supermaxi had regained the lead to take line honours with a time of 2 days and 5 hours.
Amazing scenes here on the Derwent River. The crowd at Kings Pier getting very excited. You can see the finishing line. Only a matter of metres now. You can see the yellow finishing buoy just off the bow.
She really hasn't messed around. One jibe and they're in. Here she comes. Bow down in full pressure. There's the finishing buoy off Castray Esplanade. Leave that to starboard.
A moment to savour for Masterlock Comanche. This boat takes its 5th line honours victory. Magnificent performance by James Mayo and Matt Allen.
An impressive win, but 20 hours off the overall record, which this boat had set in 2017.
It's fantastic. What an exciting race. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen such an exciting battle for line honours in the history of the race. You know, to have so many boats so close for such a long period of time, and for the lead to change a few times only this morning, it's fantastic.
But when it comes to overall victory, you don't have to have the biggest boat. You don't need a full crew. But what you do need is skill. And when it came to taking overall victory in the IRC class, it was Alexis Loison and Jiang Lin who demonstrated this perfectly. Racing Min River, their JPK 1030, Loison and Lin took the overall trophy after an intense final 36 hours where they locked horns with 2 fully crewed teams, Love and War and Midnight Rambler. But even as they crossed the finishing line in Hobart, victory was not in the bag until several hours later, when the international jury upheld a protest from the race committee against BNC Minette Leon. The decision delivered a 1 hour 5 minute elapsed time penalty against Leon, lifting Min River from second to first.
We never even think about we're going to win overall, because it seemed to me too far reach for our little boat, you know. Think about all those other boats, you know, all very good sailors and performers. I hope that the moment can believe in himself, you know, in this sport, and that if you try high enough, the dream can come true.
We are very proud of that. I think at the start we don't expect to win the overall. We just see the weather forecast will be good for our kind of boat.
Alexis Loison is no stranger to long-distance short-handed racing, having won the 2025 Rolex Fastnet overall with Jean-Pierre Kelbert on their JPK 1050. It was his second victory in this iconic race, having won overall in 2013 with his father aboard night and day. Zhang Lin also sets a milestone in the Sydney Hobart as the first woman to win the Tattersall Trophy. The protest addresses a topic that has been gaining momentum following the aerial shots of Leon sailing downwind with their asymmetric spinnaker poled out to windward. Several argued that attaching a spinnaker clue to the pole that takes it outboard was against the rules. The jury agreed. In the facts found, it stated, "The spar is a device that exerts outward pressure on the sheet of the spinnaker. This breaks Rule 55.3 and none of the exceptions to this rule apply." So, with the new season on its way, now you know.